freshman history course at Middleton High School is called Land, People, and Power, an Ethnic Studies Approach to U.S. History, and we call it LPP for short.
And it is a way for teachers to teach students about history while also giving it sort of a face that students can sympathize with.
The way the course works is we start the year by exploring the concept of identity, and we spend lots of time allowing students to learn like the different aspects of what makes up a person's identity and get to explore their own identity. After that, we spend a lot of the year looking at U.S. history, just studying the events of U.S. history, and we work really hard to implement and incorporate a multitude of diverse perspectives and narratives into that U.S. history. And we're currently ending the year on learning about different social and civil rights movements in our history and seeing how those made big changes in the culture, the legislation of the United States, and sort of like how that brings us to the point that we're at today in our country. So the foundation of this class is set on the concept of inclusivity. We can see this in every single unit and trying to make sure that so many voices are represented, specifically those voices that we see within our school community.
I like how they stopped trying to do what a lot of other public schools are doing and kind of tried to like include more minorities and more history that's not traditionally taught in class. It kind of gave like a better, broader look.
I didn't really know about redlining. That helped me understand a lot more about minorities in that time period and also today, because it's had ripple effects throughout history.
We always learned about Ellis Island and European immigrants as kids, but I didn't even know that Angel Island existed in California. It feels good to learn it in this class, but I'm disappointed that I hadn't even known it happened earlier. Like, I didn't need to know every single detail about it, but having a little bit more context, I think, would have been really important from a younger age as well.
It was actually very eye-opening because like you're not just learning about like the government and like the US, you're also looking at like cultures that made the US diverse, how natives also like occupied the US territory now, gave you different perspectives of what happened, not only like the US's perspective of like taking the land. So it like gives you more than one perspective.
In group discussions, you can apply what you learn, what you think, what your opinion is about history with the modern community as people talk around you.
Like, not everyone in my class has the same perspective. Like, we did like a housing unit and like housing taxes and stuff and mortgages and like school funding as well for a short time. And it broadened my view on that. Like, there's not one answer for anything.
So as important as all of the content is that we're covering, we have worked really hard to build some very critical skills within this content and this curriculum as well. So for instance, we have focused on source analysis, where students are diving deep into asking questions about the sources. We are participating in having students look at cause and effect. Students are also participating in looking at things like Bloom's taxonomy to participate in critical question asking. They are participating in seminars, which will help, build on civil discourse. And then finally, we are really working on essay writing, specifically with evidence and claim.
In our society today, there's a lot more dehumanizing and conforming yourself to the perfect ideal, especially with social media. And I feel like it's not about like learning the history, it's about understanding the history, and I feel like this course helps that process happen.
Like, it gives me kind of like a sense of knowledge, like of awareness of what happened. Knowing one side of a topic is kind of being biased, but like since you've seen two sides of a story, you kind of like get to make up your mind on how you feel on this topic and your point of view on this topic and how you want to learn more on the topic.
So I think having the understanding of what things in history have on the present will give me a better voice and a more fully educated voice in the future.
The social studies department at Middleton High School actually spent about 3 years in a curriculum renewal process, preparing to revamp some of our existing courses and create new courses as we saw fit with the input of former students, community members.
We have adapted in the moments when we can, and when we have not been able to, we have a plan going forward, specifically at the end of the year, to really zoom out and look at this curriculum and decide what and how is this all going to fit together in a more cohesive way for future students taking this course, and make sure that the curriculum can be flexible and adaptive as society and our students see fit.
As years go on, it's going to get better and better and better every single year, especially as more students like myself give input.